Do you guys remember that Auburn team back in 2013? The Auburn team that went all the way to the BCS National Championship, the final BCS National Championship, I should say. The team that had probably one of the most magical seasons, especially towards the end, with the prayer Jordan-air against Georgia and the kick six against Alabama in the 2013 Iron Bowl. That, of course, helped them go all the way to the SC Championship, win the title, and even go to the national title to face Florida State, and probably one of the best national championship and probably one of the most underrated national championship games in the history of college football, and the final one of the BCS era, where it was close and almost saw Auburn could have gone on the win, but Jameis Winston and Florida State came back to win that one. What if I told you in this video I'm going to go over two certain players that were kind of key factors in that championship run team? The quarterback Nick Marshall and the running back Tre Mason. Now, of course, in this video, I'm going to mostly go over what happened with them. Of course, I'm wanting to do this video, kind of just want to do something new a little bit with my football content a little bit instead of just always doing LSU and Saints. Probably go into a little bit of a series of videos. Don't know if I'll make it a series or not, but just a series of videos of going over certain college football players that you remember hearing their names and remember them being big time players and potentially look like they could have been star players in the NFL, but ask the question, what happened to them, as you see that they didn't really do much big success after college. So that, of course, is what I will be doing in this video. I normally won't really do two players, as in mostly it would just be one player, but this being two players because of them being on the same team and being big parts, this video will probably be a little bit longer than probably my future videos of doing this sort of series. I hope you guys do enjoy this video and hopefully are looking forward to more videos that I do. Again, mostly trying to just do something a little bit new for my football content instead of just doing LSU and Saints, which I will still do, but I kind of want to do something else a little bit. So hopefully you guys are looking forward to this video and hopefully looking forward to more videos like this. Before we get into the video though, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell for future upcoming videos here on the BrewCrew channel. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into what happened to Tre Mason and Nick Marshall, and we will start off with Tre Mason. So I said starting off with Tre Mason, and Tre Mason was mostly born in New York, but he went to high school at Park Vista Community High School in Boynton Beach, Florida, where he was a star football and basketball player and also ran track. His senior year was definitely one of his best years football-wise, where he rushed for 1,600 yards and 24 touchdowns. He was definitely one of the best running backs in high school and was a four-star recruit by Rivals.com and was the 14th best running back in the 2011-2012 recruiting class. He ended up committing to Auburn over teams like West Virginia and Ole Miss, where he, of course, would go on to be one of the star running backs. But it was kind of a rough start, an early start. I wouldn't say rough start. By the time, of course, in 2011, Auburn coming off a national championship win in 2010, and Tre Mason coming in mostly as sort of the backup third-string running back as a freshman, where he did have playing time with 28 carries, 161 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown in his freshman year in 2011, but he did break out a little bit in his sophomore year, where he reached 1,000 yards on 171 rushing attempts and 8 rushing touchdowns, which was definitely a big year for him. But no one was ready for or in store for what an amazing year would happen in his senior year in 2013, where he had probably one of the best rushing seasons by an Auburn running back, probably people would say since Bo Jackson, as he would go on to rush for 317 attempts, 1,816 rushing yards, and 23 touchdowns. Those, of course, are some great rushing records. The 23 touchdowns is number 1 in Auburn history over Cam Newton, and the career touchdowns with 32 is 4th all time, just tied with Kerryon Johnson right now as well. His rushing yards, however, is definitely one of the best, as right now is, I believe, still the school record, beating out Bo Jackson, and the rushing record and the rushing yards in the SEC altogether is top 5. Of course, was top 3, but of course, when Derrick Henry and Leonard Fournette had their big year, of course, in 2015, it did bump him down, but still to this day, he is top 5 all time with the rushing yards that season had. But, of course, he had one of his best games definitely that year in the SEC Championship game, and had a great game in the national title game as well. In the SEC game against Missouri, he rushed 46 carries for 304 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. All would go on to be SEC records in a single game. And of course, even though in the losing effort against Florida State, he still had an amazing game in the national title, rushing for 195 yards on 34 carries and a touchdown. But of course, sadly, Florida State would go on to beat them. After his junior year, he still was projected to be a pretty high, not pretty high, but was projected to be around maybe second or third round, as I would believe. But after his junior year, he would declare for the what year was it? I'm sorry. Would declare for the 2014 NFL Draft after his junior year instead of playing one more year. He would go on to be drafted in the third round with the 75th overall pick by the then called St. Louis Rams, where he would go on to play for them for about 2 seasons. In, of course, his 2014 rookie year, he did actually get some valuable playing time. And did go on to have some pretty good numbers his rookie year, as he went on to rush 179 times for 765 yards, and 4 touchdowns in 9 games that he started and 12 games he appeared in. This of course, stat line also included an amazing game his rookie year, where against the Oakland Raiders, he would go on to record 117 yards on 14 carries and 2 touchdowns, and even had a receiving touchdown as well, and was named to the PFWA All-Rookie team after what was a solid rookie year and what could have been a pretty high career. But this was the only high mark of his NFL career, as in 2015, he rarely saw the field, only starting in 3 of the 13 games he appeared in. His numbers went down with 75 attempt carries, 277 yards, and only 1 rushing touchdown his sophomore second year in the league. But this was around the time when there was some issues happening and sort of an attitude issue with Trey Mason, as it was by head coach Jeff Fisher that he tried numerous times to reach him, and mostly for some reason Trey Mason at this point around at the end of the 2015 season and going into 2016, he was mostly not communicating with the team, not with the players, or even with the coaches, and it was definitely hard for him. And it was going to be it was later on though that he had several run-ins with the law, and of course a display of erratic behavior through the summer of 2016. Those legal issues that he did get himself involved in mostly just kind of go down to really some stuff that happened when he was in Florida, as he was involved in reckless driving, resisting arrest, and an ATV incident when he was fleeing the police. And all of this was happening in the span of the summer going into the 2016 season. And with that, in July of that year, on the 30th of July, the Rams placed him on the reserved/did not report list. But of course, he mostly didn't. But of course, this not only would be did not report list or reserved, he would not appear at all in a single game in 2016. It would be, though, the next year in March of 2017, he would be fully released by the Rams in 2017. There was, of course, some stuff that came out. A former college teammate of his, Ricardo Lewis, who of course was the guy who caught the prayer and Jordan Air touchdown against Georgia, stated in April that Mason was working towards coming back to the NFL for the upcoming season in 2016, but sadly, that in 2017, I should say, not 2016. But sadly, of course, that didn't materialize or never happened, as of course he did not appear in another NFL game after this point. He would try his luck, though, in the CFL, where he would join the CFL's Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2018, where he would sign with the team. And he had some pretty good numbers in his lone season there, playing in all 18 games, being a reliable back for the team, going on 160 rushing attempts, 809 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But even though he was productive through the first half of the season, it was the final 3 games of the year, or towards the end of the year, that he would finally get touchdowns. But he was a big integral part, though, of the team. But sadly, though, the team was good enough to get the playoffs, get to the playoffs, but Trey Mason sadly did not play in the lone playoff game that the Rough Riders were in, as he was dealing with an injury later on to be revealed after the offseason. In the offseason, the Rough Riders signed another sort of veteran, I believe, running back named William Powell in free agency, where around this time Mason would come out and say that his injury was a damaged ACL, which needed him to have surgery and could keep him out of the 2019 season. Sadly, however, this was the final thing that ever, of course, was announced for him with football, as later on that year in 2019, he was released from the Rough Riders. And mostly, it looks like I hadn't really seen much of what happened after, as it looks like he mostly just focused on recovering from his knee issue, but I also saw that he had been in the middle from 2017 to 2023, that he'd been in the middle of recovering from sort of mental issues from, of course, remember the erotic behavior that he had, that even his mom and family members and close friends even said that they saw a change in him around 2015 when he was in the NFL. So he's definitely been working on that, and I have actually seen that he does have an Instagram, and it doesn't look like he's done much really with football or hasn't any really plans of doing anything with football, but at least he is definitely, of course, still growing and all that, and definitely kind of focusing away from I want to say maybe focusing away from the spotlight of football, as that was probably one of the issues of his erotic behavior after having an amazing, really good rookie year, and probably just mental stuff happening. So I'm actually glad that he's definitely working on his mental stuff and all that. But that's mostly, of course, what happened with Trey Mason and what he's up to now. Don't really know much of anything else. If you guys know, let me know in the comments down below. But with that being said, let's go actually ahead and get to his teammate, Nick Marshall. So next, of course, is his teammate, and the quarterback of this team is Nick Marshall. But Nick Marshall has more of an interesting career than Trey Mason, mostly just because he's mostly switched from quarterback to defensive back cornerback multiple times throughout his career. So let's actually go ahead and get into what happened to Nick Marshall here in this second part of the video. He was born and raised in Pineview, Georgia, and went to Wilcox Country High School in Rochelle, Georgia, where he was an amazing three-sport star athlete, playing basketball, football, and also ran track as well. As a basketball player, he was the AP Class A Player of the Year twice, and in football, he led the team to the Class A championship as a junior, where that year he passed for over 2,956 yards and 32 touchdowns, and was named the Offensive Player of the Year, the Class A Offensive Player of the Year, as well as part of the Prep Star All-American team. Mostly fast-forwarding, of course, through his high school career, he would go on to decide to go to the University of Georgia because they gave him the best opportunity and the best chance to play both sports of basketball and football for the team. But also another big decision was that he would transition from quarterback to defensive back cornerback when he came in to play for the team in 2011. But sadly, however, his career with Georgia would not happen or get off to a great start, as of course him and two other teammates would be dismissed from the team, mostly for them violating team rules. It would later come out by the team and by Nick Marshall himself that him and the teammates were stealing money from other teammates' dorm rooms, which of course this was not really a good look for the team or even a good look for the school to have other players stealing other players' monies from their dorm room. So of course they ended up dismissing him and the other players. Sadly, of course, not even playing a single down as a Georgia football player, I believe, as a Georgia football player. He would go on to transfer to a community college called Garden City Community College, where he would go on to transition back to quarterback in 2012, where he led the team to a pretty okay record of 7-4, where he had some pretty good numbers of 37 total touchdowns, 19 on the ground and 18 through the air, with over 3,100 passing yards, and led the team in rushing with 1,095 rushing yards. After one pretty good year, he decided to take his talents to the SEC yet again, this time transferring to Auburn, who around this time, of course, coming off a not-so-great 2012 season and coming in with a new head coach of Gus Malzahn. And of course, it was a quarterback battle with Marshall, as of course he was in a multiple quarterback battle, but he ended up winning the battle and was the starting quarterback. Was named the starting quarterback in August of 2013. As of course, Gus Malzahn, this was definitely a better choice for him, as Nick Marshall, with his athletic ability, was definitely the right fit for the Gus Malzahn offensive mind of Gus Malzahn. Throughout his 2 years, though, and in 2013, the year that would be an outstanding year from him and a critical part of this team making, of course, the national championship game, he would go on to have 1,976 passing yards on 14 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, but he would be great on the ground with over 1,068 rushing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. Of course, not eye-popping numbers on through the air, but they were mostly a ground-heavy sort of offense with, of course, remember, the help of Trey Mason. But when Trey Mason left, Nick Marshall decided to not leave as well. He decided to come back for his senior year, his final year of eligibility to play football, and he would have a much better productive year throwing the ball, passing for over 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, while still having really great numbers on the ground with 153 rushing attempts, 798 yards, and 11 touchdowns on the ground. But even with him being an amazing athlete, he wasn't really seen as a top quarterback going into the 2015 draft. He was invited, though, to the Senior Bowl as a quarterback, but it would be during the week of training that he decided to move back to cornerback to try to hopefully see if that would help him get a better chance in the NFL. Sadly, it really wouldn't, and he would go undrafted in the 2015 NFL draft, and he would go on to sign first with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He would go on to first sign with the Jacksonville Jaguars in that 2015 season, only spending that 2015 season with the Jaguars, where he was mostly just a special teamer and mostly appeared in one game as a starter, which was the last game of the year, where he did put up some okay numbers. He ended the season with 13 combined total tackles, a pass deflection, a fumble recovery, and I believe two fumbles. I don't know. I think a fumble recovery. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But mostly it wasn't really eye-popping numbers and was mostly a special teamer, mostly sort of as a returner. But of course, this wouldn't be too long, as going into next season, in the middle of next year in 2016, he would be put on the Jaguars practice, or released by the Jaguars first, and then would go on to be signed to the Jaguars practice squad the next day. It would be later on in the 2016 season in October that the Jets would sign him off the Jaguars practice squad, where again he would mostly be a special teamer, only appearing in 8 games as a special teamer, and but was able to still sort of rack up 5 combined total tackles. Of course, after the season was over in April of 2017, he was he was actually suspended for 4 games for testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Of course, mostly that would mean for him to miss the first 4 games of the season, but knowing that he was just a special teamer, the team would go on to release him, or waive him, I should say, waive him in May of 2017, just a little while after, of course, being caught with being positive for performance-enhancing drugs. After, of course, that later on that year in 2017 in November, Marshall went on to sign with the Arizona Rattlers of the Indoor Football League alongside his brother, who was also a defensive back. However, both brothers would depart the team after only spending 1 year with them. After spending only 1 year with them before the 2018 season ever began, and Nick Marshall would go on to sign with the CFL. And shockingly enough, the first year that he would sign with the team in 2018, guess what team he would sign with? He would sign with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Yes, the same team that Trey Mason would sign with as well, around the same time. So both players were teammates yet again here, and of course in the CFL in 2018. This was, of course, definitely, I believe, what could have been a big moment. But, of course, we know how Trey Mason's career went in the CFL with injuries and, sadly, of course, mostly being done with football after that point. But, actually, Nick Marshall had a much better career and did go on to have a much better career and a much better stint in the CFL than really his stint in the NFL, as he became a critical defensive opponent for component for the Rough Riders. His first year with the Rough Riders in 2018, mostly looking at interception-wise, really. He had 3 interceptions in 2018, but he had a big year in 2019 with 5 interceptions, which allowed him to sign a 1-year big deal with the Rough Riders. But of course, 2020 happened, and of course, COVID happened. I believe CFL didn't have a football season that year, but they came back in 2021, and Marshall was still a part of the Rough Riders. He went on to have 3 interceptions in 2021, 4 interceptions in 2022, and 5 interceptions again in 2023. But of course, sadly, that would be his last year, as he would end his career really with the CFL, and we'll get to what happened. With 20 career interceptions, and probably could have continued on and probably could have retired in the CFL. But sadly, legal issues sadly caught up to him, especially after, I believe, the 2023 season, going into 2023, as he was released by the Rough Riders. And the reason why he was released is because he was arrested for a firearm possession charge in his home state of Georgia just earlier, a couple days on the 8th of November. Of course, the team finding out about this on the 13th, he would be released from the team after that. And mostly that is, of course, the only thing that I can see or have looked up about of what happened or where Nick Marshall is. If you guys have found anything or know anything, let me know in the comments down below. But as of now, he is no longer with the team. Of course, definitely no longer with the team. This was 2 years ago in 2023. It's 2025 now, so I don't know what's happened with him here in 2025. Haven't really seen much. Tried looking up stuff. I haven't seen anything. So mostly this one thing definitely sadly ended his football career, as he probably could have continued on with the CFL and probably could have retired, as he definitely had some pretty okay good numbers and was a sort of critical part for the Rough Riders as well in the CFL. But again, let me know if you guys know anything about Nick Marshall. But that's what I have right now. Couldn't again find anything. So that, of course, potentially what happened with Nick Marshall. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so again, I hope you guys actually enjoyed this video and are looking forward to more videos like this. And don't know how good this video was. I tried my best with it. Hopefully kind of be a little bit better with these videos moving forward. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys are, again, looking forward to more videos like this. I am, because definitely there's a lot of players that I remember being successful in college and just asking like what happened with them, and I kind of wanted to try to do videos for this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about these videos. Let me know if you guys know anything else about these 2 players that I missed or anything that probably should have been interesting to tell in the video. So let me know in the comments down below and all of that. And again, if you guys did enjoy this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and hit that notification bell for future upcoming videos here on the channel, here at the BrewCrew channel. So of course, again, probably plan on trying to do more what happened videos like this, trying to expand my football content a little bit here on the channel. So again, hope you guys enjoyed and do all the stuff that I said before as well. So with all this being said, I hope you guys have an amazing, blessed day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.